Good evening, everyone, and thank you for for joining me for trading Asia using binary options and spreads. My name is Gail, and I'm going to be your hostess today. And before we get started, I do want to make sure that everyone reads over the Nadex risk disclaimer. Any type of trading, whether it's binary options or other instruments, all of them will incur risk. And you can lose money if you're trading. So just take a moment to read over the Nadex risk disclaimer to make sure you understand the risk associated with any type of trading. Now, for those of you that do not know me, my name is Gail Mercer, and I have about 15 years of trading experience. I started out with a company that programmed indicators, and I just simply fell in love with that price bar. I actually thought that was the neatest thing I had ever saw. I do specialize in price action, volume analysis, divergence, because I believe they are leading indicators. I'm also a frequent contributor for Stocks and Commodities, Traders World, and Top Shelf Magazine. I've also been a speaker at Traders Expo, Traders World Online Expo, and the Wyckoff Volume Conference. I'm also the author of Trading Nadex Binary Options Using Currencies, Trading Nadex Binary Options, Keeping It Simple Strategies, as well as the New Trader's Guide to Trading Nadex Binary Options and Spreads. Now, before we go and look at what is available, I want to make sure everybody knows that they can visit my website at tradershelpdesk.com. And if you have a question after this webinar, you can always email me at gm@tradershelpdesk.com. Now, how many of you have traded the Asia session before? Anybody? Just type in a yes or no. Hello, Hank from Kansas. Nice to meet you. Good evening, Ron. Okay, now what I want to go over is some of the options you have specifically for trading Asia and other options that you may not be aware of that exist with binaries. So the first thing I want to go over is the Japan 225. Has anybody in the room ever traded that one? It's actually a kind of neat one to trade. I have traded that myself. I've traded some of the 20-minute binaries as well as the 2-hour binaries on that. It's actually a nice instrument to trade. Trades a lot like the DAX. If you know the DAX, then you'll know, the Japan 225. When it moves, it really moves. Okay. Now, they do have 20-minute binaries that are available on that. And the first expiration actually starts at 7:20. Okay. So this is your first expiration, and it goes through until 10:20 p.m. So you've got almost 3 hours of 20-minute binaries available on that. Now they also do 11:40, 12 o'clock, 12:20, 12:40 on up to 10:20 Monday through Thursday, okay? And then on Friday, you have limited binary options, okay? Now, intraday, the first expiration is at 9 p.m., and this would be for the 2-hour binaries, okay? And that is on Sunday evening. Now, these hours are a little bit different from like the U.S. ones. It's very sad, okay, they begin this time every day. On the Japan 225, notice that on Sunday, you have 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. expirations. So that means it starts at 7 on Sunday, and then the last one is at 10 p.m. On Monday through Thursday, they start at 10, and the last one is actually at 10 p.m. Okay? And then on Friday, you have the 12 a.m., 1 a.m., and 2 a.m. So again, that just means that you have one that begins at 10 p.m. Does everybody understand that? The hours on that are a little bit confusing until you just get used to it. Okay? Now, what is available as far as the Forex market? Okay? The Forex market, let me get that up. Okay. Now, the Forex market, the GBP JPY, they do not have 2-hour binary options available until they begin at 8 a.m. Okay. But you have spreads available. Okay. You have 2-hour spreads available. So if you're expecting a big move, what do you trade? You trade the spreads. Have any of you ever traded the British pound yen? It is a highly volatile yen pair, okay? Now, you might look at it and say, oh, there's no binary options available. But guess what? You've got spreads available, okay? And, you know, spreads are really good to trade as long as you have what? Movement, volatility, anything that's going to cause that market to move, spreads is your better option. Or you can trade it in combination on some of them. For example, the euro yen. The euro yen does have 2-hour binary options available, okay? It also has spreads available. So in that case, you may choose to trade both the euro yen binary option and the euro yen spread. Same thing with the USD JPY. If you come over to the actual Nadex, if you just click on the symbol, it'll tell you, okay, they've one that expires at 9 p.m., one that expires at 10 p.m., and they will go all through the night, okay? Now, what are the other ones that you can trade during Asia? Another one is on the Aussie dollar, especially if the Aussie has a market report, okay? So if we go over here and we look at the market reports, and I look at the week because I actually plan my schedule according to the market reports because I now trade market reports. So on Tuesday evening, you had the Aussie rate statement. Now tonight at 9:30, you're going to have the retail sales and the trade balance. And then Friday morning, you're going to have the RBA governor speaking. Now, this is not one I would trade because it's not an actual market report. He may talk and the market doesn't move, okay? But the ones that I would trade would be the retail sales and trade balance as well as the cash statement. So what does that mean? When I'm sitting down to do my schedule to trade, I'm saying, okay, I need to be at the computer at 12:30 Tuesday night. And then tonight, I need to be there at 9:30. And normally, I'm going to be there by 9:15 because I normally use a 15-minute for entry, okay? So that means I have to be there at 9:15, analyze my trades, and then use an out-of-the-money binary option to trade that, okay? What other market reports could affect Asia? Well, there's a lot of them that you might not think about, okay? For example, when the UK has an election, when are the results announced? During Asia. And there's other reports on the British pound that's released during Asia. What does that mean? That also opens up the British pound dollar as well as the British pound yen. And notice that you do have the 2-hour binaries available on the British pound dollar during Asia. Okay, what else does it open up? If there's something on the euro specifically, okay, you can see that the euro also has the 2-hour binary options. Okay, so that means if you are a binary option trader that likes the 2-hour period, you could trade the euro dollar, you could trade the Aussie dollar, you could trade the euro yen, you could trade the British pound dollar, and you could trade the USD JPY. Okay, any questions about that? I mean, that's, quite a few markets. That's 5 markets plus you have the Japan 225 as well. Any questions on that so far? What if you're a longer term trader? Okay. A longer term trader could actually even go in and trade any of the US indices. Okay. You could trade any of these for the next day. You could also trade the Germany 30. Okay. And we have actually had some really good moves on the indices overnight. Okay, so don't think, I can't trade them because it's not, open, it's not the US session. All you have to do is go with a higher time frame. For example, if you're normally trading a 15-minute on the Dow, okay, go up to maybe a 45-minute, go up to a 65-minute, okay? Does everybody understand that? Just increase your time frame. That's all. Does everybody understand that so far? In other words, don't just say because these aren't open, I can't trade them. Okay. Instead, and let's just look at an example on the Wall Street 30. Let's bring up a daily binary ladder chart. Okay. And let's put the stochastics on here. And indicators S. Now, right now, this is a 15-minute chart. You see it up here in the corner. Well, I would want to increase that time. So I'm going to go over to the resolution, go up to 1 hour, and say, okay, is there anything here that makes me think that this will probably go up overnight? Okay. Well, to me, the stochastics is overextended. Do y'all see that? So, if I have a bias to the upside, then I would choose a binary option that was long. Okay. You go to sleep, you limited your risk on entry. So that's not an issue. You cannot lose more than what you paid on entry. Okay. So if I paid $34.50 on entry, that's the most I can lose, right? So I can go to bed at night and sleep knowing, okay, I cannot lose more than $34.50, which is what I paid on entry. And if you can even set a profit target on it. If you get up in the morning and you have profit, hey, you made money while you were asleep. Okay. How to trade any of the Asia pairs as a spread entry, please. Okay, what is the one thing that you need if you're going to trade a spread? okay? You need movement, okay? So the first thing that you have to do is say, okay, is the market moving? Okay. All right. Now I've got my charts opened over here, so I'm just going to bring one over. Okay. And out of all of them right now, the Aussie actually acts like it's going to move better than the other ones. Not that it's a great move, but it's moving better. So I'm going to pin that right there. And I'm going to go over and say, okay, you know, I'm going to go out until 11 o'clock, okay, and let's see what's available. Now, if your bias is to the long side, okay, so you think this market is going to go up, they have a floor right here at 8,000, okay? This is your offer. So your offer is right up here at 80.20. That's going to be $20 of risk. Okay? So you cannot lose more than that $20. Do you understand that? Now, what if your bias was to the downside? Okay? Then you would look at the right-hand side, which is the ceiling, okay? And in this case, your risk would be $4, okay? So if you thought this was going to go down, right here is where the premium price is. Now, 8,000, that is both a floor and a ceiling, okay? And what that does is your risk is between these two numbers, okay? And that's a very small because it's $4 and you don't have a lot of risk there. This one, on the other hand, you have $20 of risk from the floor to where you entered. Do you understand that, Rian? And this works the same, regardless of what pair that you're doing it on. Okay. Now, let's say that it's 11 o'clock. Okay. And let's say that price expired right here at 80.30. What would you make, excluding exchange fees, what would you make on that trade? You would make $10. It would be the difference between the expiration price and where you entered, which was 80.20. Okay, so that's your profit, $10. All right, what about if it came back to 80.10 and expired? Then you lost $10 and $10 is returned. How is the spread entered? You just click the number. Okay, if you want to go long, you click that. And again, the order ticket is going to identify this is your maximum loss, this is your maximum profit if it moves the entire spread. And you can see the buy is highlighted right here. So if you're willing to enter that trade, then you just place your order. You click it right there and it will place your order. Is it best to stay in until the expiration for both spread and binaries? That is a really good question, Ken. But I would, you know, to me, you have to manage your trade, okay? That's what a trader does. It's like any other business, okay? You have to manage, okay? So I'm always adding a profit target on my binaries. I don't really like to stay in that much until expiration. It kind of goes crazy at expiration. On the spreads, I'm reading my price chart and saying, okay, do I want to remain in this position or do I want to take profits? Right. I mean, and I've done videos on this, Ken, where, okay, let's say that you went into a binary for $25 and it popped in your direction, and in 15 minutes, price went from 25 to 75. But there's another hour and a half left in that binary. Okay? But you know, do you stay with it or do you exit? I'm going to exit because my time is valuable. I'm going to make $25 to stay 60 minutes in a trade when I've already got most of my profit. Take the money and run. That's right. And that is my motto. If I can take some money out of the market, even close to what I want, I'm going to take that money and run. You know, that's trading. Your job is to make a profit. And if you make a profit and then give it back, your job performance review will probably be pretty bad, okay? Because they offered it to you and you just didn't take it. Any other job, they would say, hey, you need to work on your performance, okay? Same in trading, exactly the same. Any other questions about that aspect of it? Thank you. Well, you know, we have all, as traders, we have all sat and watched a trade go against us, okay? And there is a point where you have to say, okay, I need to get more profits out of this, okay, if I can. And that's where, you know, it's kind of trial and error for traders, for the most part, to be honest with you. All right, let's go look at the British pound. Just another example, okay? I don't know why that's doing that, but that's okay. Let's just say that we had a market report tonight, and I'm just going to tell you what the setup will be, okay? And just to reiterate, I mean, we're doing this for demonstration purposes only. I'm not entering any orders here. Let's say, okay, I want this to retrace up to around here. And if it does, then I think it will come down. Does everybody understand that? Now, this is the previous high, and I think it might retrace, but it's either going to test this area or it might come in a little bit under it at 142.5, okay? Well, I would already be looking over here to see, okay, what are my spread options, okay? If I wanted to do 8 to 10, okay, what's my spread options on that, okay? I've already told you I want 142.50, okay? So I'm going to come down here. Oops, didn't mean to click that. Okay, so I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say, okay, they got one right now. And to actually enter that would be this premium right here. But do you see how this price bar is going up? I want this to go up a little bit more. So I would be sitting here waiting on this. Do y'all understand that? Now, if this comes back up to here, and let's say we get a reversal bar, it goes up and it makes a high, and then it closes down here on the bottom, okay? Now, in all honesty, I would want to see more movement than what I'm seeing right now, okay? But let's say that we do have more movement, okay? Then I would go ahead and I would enter that with anticipation that it will move down. Now, at the same time, I'm a thrifty shopper, okay? So I'm going to go have a look at the 6 to 11 too, because sometimes I can get this one and it goes longer, cheaper than I can get this one. See that? This is 38. 11 p.m. is 37. Do y'all see that? That's being a thrifty shopper. You're getting the same thing, just a little bit different. Do y'all understand that? What trading strategy do I implement when there's very little movement? I am so glad you asked me that question, because I'm going to show you the difference. Now, remember that on spreads, what do you need? You need market movement, okay? But what about binaries? Do you need market movement on binaries? No, because the statement is either true or false. Okay? Ooh, wrong one. Okay, so let's go. All right, let's go to the USD Swiss franc, because that sucker does not move at this time of night. Not normally anyway. Okay, so this is one that's not going to move. You would absolutely probably go to sleep on the USD Swiss franc, okay, because it does not move. Not at night. It does during the day, but not at night, okay? So here's the Swiss franc. Now, more than likely, okay, more than likely, do you see how this premium is at $37? More than likely, this price bar will still be sitting there at 11 o'clock at night. So what does that tell you? That tells you that if your bias was to the short side and you believe that this was still going to be below or equal to that strike, then you sell it. Now, what has to happen at expiration? Price has to do what? Does it have to move? Nope. It does not have to go down. It just has to stay right where it's at 95.56. That's all it has to do. It can sit there the rest of the night. It's okay. I'm making money. Do you understand that now? Any other questions about that one? It looks like no, because you would be actually going short. If you're going short, you subtract that number from 100, okay? And that's your risk. This right here is what? That's your profit potential. Yeah, these are the ones that would be considered in the money. And in the money is fine, as long as you have a market that is not moving or not very volatile. Just my opinion, though. And see, on this one, it just has to stay there. It can play right there from now until 11 o'clock. That's fine with me. Besides the USD Swiss franc, what other pairs tend to be more stagnant or less volatile overnight? The US CAD can be stagnant. It's not always a given. The Aussie dollar, actually during the US session in the afternoon is like that. The euro British pound, same way as the USD Swiss franc. This one generally moves during the US session. And let me change this because this is showing an hour. So this is the euro British pound. And you can see, I mean, it has just hung right at this strike all day long, okay? And the reason it is because there's a euro rate announcement, I believe, on Thursday this week. So the euro is going into that sideways movement. So you're not going to get a lot of move out of it. Does that answer your questions, Joe? And this is one of the things in my new book on trading currencies. I show you the minimum and the average and the maximum move of all of the currencies. And it's on a per hour basis. And the reason that I do that is because this would give you opportunities. There's always a slow currency, okay? It might be the USD Swiss franc, or it might be the euro dollar. There's times that the euro dollar is slow. The euro British pound is another one. It's going to move more during London than any other time. But it also lets you know, hey, can I do out of the money binaries on this? Okay. And sometimes the answer is no, you better not, because there's not enough movement there. So you don't want to do them. Let's see if the Japan 225 is open yet. Nope. How about? No. In the 5 minutes, I do not do. So we could go to the Aussie dollar. Like, for example, if you're just kind of sitting there, even during the U.S. session in the afternoon, prior to 3 o'clock, the Aussie's a good one. It's not going to move a lot. You don't do those on the British pound yen. For those that are not familiar with the British pound yen, that currency moves 300 pips in a day. So don't do that. What is the best chart time frame to assess the lesser volatile pairs for a given market session? I always look at a 15-minute, Joe. But I also know the average movement of all my currencies. I know the minimums and I know the maximums. So are there any Forex trades that I like doing daily? As far as I trade them on a daily basis, or I'm just always trading these currencies? One of my favorite, Euro Yen. Also like the euro dollar, like the Aussie dollar, USD, JPY. I do trade the British pound yen, not so much on the British pound dollar. I think it's a little bit whippy. And every Wednesday, I trade the US CAD. Every Wednesday, because it's crude oil inventories and there's a negative correlation with USD CAD. So I'm always trading them. I do a 12-minute, I'm sorry, for the Forex market, I do a 15-minute, 60-minute, and a 240-minute. But, you know, guys, there's no magical time frames. Try, you know, trade what makes sense to you. Okay? If a 15, a 45, and a 135-minute makes sense to you, that's what you trade, because it makes sense to you. In some part of this, it has to make sense in your brain. You know, Sunday night, I love Sunday nights. You know, I'm always in front of my computer on Sunday night looking for a trade setup. And some Sundays, it don't do nothing. You're like, why am I even looking at this market? Okay. But there's other Sundays where, I mean, Sunday opens and that market just takes off and you're like, oh, I love this. And Sunday is a good one too. You know, if the market's not moving and you want to trade, you know, a slower market, Sunday is a good night to do it. Because either the market is going to really move or it's just not going anywhere. And, you know, with the binary, it doesn't have to go anywhere. As long as it expires in your favor, you can make money. And of course, the closer it is to expiration, the more likely it is that you might get filled in your profit target. Even with a little bit of movement, you can get your profit target. Any other questions about trading Asia? If you haven't looked at it, I think you really owe it to yourself to look at it, because it is an awesome market to trade. Not every night, okay? But again, go back to your, you know, Forex factory. And sometimes, okay, let's go out to like next week to the end. All right, next week you've got the British pound bank rate statements. Anything else really? No, not really. All right, when you start getting into a lot of market reports, okay, see how you've got the yen here and then you got the FOMC as well. In fact, you've got the quadruple one. These, it will tend to move more during Asia and be sideways during the US session. Okay, so these are groups that I look at. Anytime there's a lot of market reports during the US, if you start watching Asia, will trade better. Even on the indices, I've noticed that. You know, and again, if I go in here, let me take this off. And let's just, you know, again, you go into the indices and you say, okay, what is the Dow doing? But remember to go to a higher time frame. Don't be doing this on a 15-minute because you need some time on it. Okay. If you believe that this market is going to go up, you know, a lot of times this will go up overnight and then it will go down during the US session. You have the opportunity to trade both the upward movement and the downward movement simply because you got in during Asia. Yes, it does. You know, there's a lot of market reports, especially on the Aussie, that come out during the Asian session. And I'll tell you right now, the Aussie, when it moves, it moves. How to take profit and stop loss target for spreads. Okay, now stop loss is not something you have to set, and you don't set in Nadex, okay? Why? Because you paid the risk on entry. There is no stops there, okay? So let's say, and let's go back and look at a spread, and we'll just go look at an Aussie spread, okay? And let's say that you entered this at 18, okay? Well, whatever you want to set your profit at, let's say that you want to set your profit to get $30 in profit, okay? Add it to that number, your profit target would be 80.48. Do you see how I did that? What if you were going short? Okay, so here's the short version. And let's say that you wanted to make, it's getting late, so I'm going to make this math really simple. You want to make $8 on that, okay? Subtract it from that number, your profit target will be 8,000. Do you understand that? So on the long side, you add what you want to make. On the short side, you subtract what you want to make. Did that answer your question, Chin? How do you set that up in the platform? All right, I am going to show you, but I want everyone to remember, I'm not giving out trading advice. I'm teaching you how to use the platform. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to go short, and remember this number, 8,008, okay? I'm going to place the order, boom, I'm in, okay? Now, I want to make $8, I think was what I wanted. So I'm going to put 0.8000. And let me get the dot in here. Well, it's not doing my dot. And that's probably because it's not anything on the buy side. But let me see if I can do it this way. Yep, I can do it that way. So I'm still doing it as a buy order, but it wouldn't take my dot for some reason. So I'm just going to place the order. Now you have an open order, open position here. If you go over here, this is your profit target. Okay. Now, if you want to do the long, you do just the opposite. First, I'm going to enter the order, and it was at 80.16. Okay. And see how this is +1? And I'm just going to put in an order to get out of that at 20. It will give me $4 of profit. Okay, this is just an example. Okay, so in this case, I've got working orders on both of these positions. You're welcome. How do you trade the reports? Do you wait for report results to announce and then execute, or stage both long and short? Killing order that goes against the report. Most of the time, Suzanne, I do not go both long and short unless I see a reason for the market to go both long and short, because it'll pop up and then pop back down. Normally, I'm either one direction or the other direction, and I'm usually in 5 to 10 minutes before the market report. And that comes into, what indicators are you using? How are you determining that it's going to go a particular direction? What site provides you best support and resistance levels for Forex market? I don't use any site, Joe. I mean, if you really get down to it, okay, if you bring up just a binary ladder chart, let's do the 9 p.m. If you don't have a standard charting platform, pull up a Nadex chart, add the pivot lines. It's called pivot point in Nadex, and add them to your chart. I don't know why it didn't add it, but it's probably something I did wrong. And it might be because I need to space it out. I don't know. Normally they will plot on there. For some reason, it's not doing it for me. But I don't really go to other websites to get my support and resistance. I use an ATR and it does really well. Any other questions? I do not do 5-minute binaries. They're too average true range. This is what I'm talking about. This is an ATR, okay? And do you see how price pulled up to this ATR? Okay. And this is getting, pretty technical. But if you look at that, do you see how there's hidden divergence? You have lower highs with higher highs. That's hidden divergence. What did that signal? It signaled that the market was going to go down. Oh, yes, I do. In fact, I have templates for all of mine, or I send you the workspace, one of the two. My job is to be an expert at setting this up for y'all, okay? And I'm pretty good at it. I've been working with these platforms for, I don't know, about 15, 16, 17 years now. So, I mean, there's times, Benjamin, I even connect to your computer if you're really having any difficulty. I connect to your computer and do it myself. Yes, I do determine the direction before the announcement with the indicators. Any other questions, guys? If there's no other questions, I really want to thank all of you for being here tonight. Okay, I'll wait, Joe. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Joseph. That sounds great, Al. I actually execute my own strategy, Joe, based on my indicators. Well, thank y'all, and everybody have a wonderful evening. You know, for those in Florida, hunker down. You're probably going to have some rough weather this weekend. All right, everybody have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you on my next presentation.